This is a demo of Geneva, a tool for visualizing branching narratives. Both the narratives and the code for rendering the graph were entirely generated by GPT-4. On the top banner, you can select from one of the four familiar stories. You can also customize the number of different beginnings, endings, and unique plot lines you want in the resultant narrative graph. You can also choose from one of these four settings. We chose these settings as we found the resultant narrative graphs to be diverse and interesting. You can click on the Show Graph button to see the narrative graph corresponding to the story you chose. You can scroll to zoom in or out of the graph. On the left, you can see the one start node, and on the right, you can see the two end nodes. A path from one of the start to the end nodes defines a unique plot line. You can hover over a node to see the detailed description of the narrative beat corresponding to that node. A narrative beat is defined as a significant moment in a story that evokes an emotional reaction from the audience. You can click on the Show Details button to see all the storylines and the sequence of beats that make up each of the storylines. Now let's look at one of the narrative graphs in detail. This is the graph of the Frankenstein story set in the 21st century. As you can see, in one of the storyline, Dr. Frank creates the humanoid Adam, and in another he creates Eve. They both end up escaping the lab. Eve on one hand heroically saves a child and appears in the local news, and Dr. Frank apologizes to Eve and promises to respect her freedom, whereas Adam in another storyline causes panic and destruction of the city. Dr. Frank has to calm him down and make him come back to the lab, and Dr. Frank promises to help Adam understand his existence. As you can see, the language model was able to generate interesting variations of the original story to not only ground it in the 21st century but also to make it more palatable to the 21st century audience.